In this video, we look at how to get started with cryptocurrency investing, and our focus is going to be very practical, such as how to fund your account, how to actually trade without incurring very high fees, but also once you've traded, how you can store your cryptocurrency safely. Then we'll also look at staking if you keep your currency on an exchange. And then finally, we'll look at how to diversify your cryptocurrency holdings. So let's look at cryptocurrency investing in a bit more detail. Today's video is sponsored by Noah, an audio app which I use to listen to articles which I don't have time to read. Check out the link beneath me or in the description to get a 7-day free trial and 37% off premium membership. Before we start, let's consider why cryptocurrency is riskier than buying stocks. I think the primary worry is that it's unregulated, and that means many of the customer protections which you have when you buy stocks through a broker, say, are simply not there with cryptocurrency. So for example, if your platform's hacked, then you stand a very good chance of losing all of your investment. The second way in which cryptocurrency is riskier than equity is that it tends to have bigger price fluctuations. So if equity is wobbling like this, cryptocurrency will wobble like this, and that can be very scary. And that's why cryptocurrency investors say you have to hold on for dear life, or hodl. Another way of thinking of this is that crypto is great practice for getting used to equity volatility, and also training yourself to weather that volatility. To get started with cryptocurrency investing, you're going to have to open an account with a cryptocurrency platform. Now, the purpose of a cryptocurrency exchange is to allow you to convert your normal currency, such as dollars or sterling, into a cryptocurrency, monitor its value, and then convert it back into your domestic currency. And that way you can book any profits you've made, or you can take it out of your account. Now, when you initially open your account, you'll have to give some details, such as your name, your email address, and you may be asked for extra details which will allow them to do something called KYC, which is Know Your Customer rules. And that's to ensure that you're not doing something dodgy like money laundering. But then you'll also need to fund your account. And that's a very important detail because the fees can vary hugely according to how you do that funding. So for example, with the Kraken platform, which is one of the cheapest, if you try to put sterling into your account, you can see that the actual cost of that varies very much according to how you do it. So for example, if you're willing to wait between 0 and 3 business days, a BACS transfer is free. Whereas if you use another transfer method called CHAPS, that actually costs £21. And if you're trying to put dollars into your Kraken account, again, there's a big difference in fee according to the method you use, where Fedwire is usually the cheapest way to go. But there are other ways in which you can keep your fees low. Now, what seems to be the case is that there's usually 2 versions of a cryptocurrency app. There's the basic version, which is what you can see beside me here, and then there's a kind of pro version. And what they don't really tell you is that the basic version often comes with much higher fees. So this is the basic web interface for Coinbase, and here I've created an imaginary trade to buy £100 worth of Bitcoin. And what I've said is I'll fund it with my Visa card. And if I click on Preview Buy, it turns out that the fee for that transaction is almost 4%. Now compare that with trading a stock on most stockbroking platforms, and that fee would be much, much lower. The same is true on Kraken, which is that there's a basic interface which looks like this. And again, if I fund it with my Visa card, it actually forces me to buy it in euros, and the fee for that transaction is over 5%. And if we break it down, you can see that the Kraken fee is just over €1 and the processing fee is €4. So generally it's best to pre-fund your account using the cheapest possible method and then trade using the Pro platform. Now, if you do use the Pro version of the platform, you'll be able to trade as something called a market maker, and that generally has much lower fees. So if you're doing this via the web interface, then you'd use the Pro version of the platforms. So for example, for Kraken, it would be trade.kraken.com, and for Coinbase, it would be pro.coinbase.com. If you're doing this on your phone, then usually there's a separate app for the Pro version. So with Coinbase, for example, the basic version of the interface looks like this. It's all kind of nice and neat, and you just click on buy and it seems very easy to use. Whereas the Pro version of the interface looks much more scary. There are lots of weird graphs, lots of prices flashing past, but it's worth getting to grips with this interface because it will save you money. Plus, it's a great way to learn more about what market making actually is. As part of my research for this video, I used this article from the conversation in audio format. It was actually narrated on an audio app called News Over Audio, or NOAA. What's great about NOAA is that I can be out walking my dog Teddy and working at the same time. Now, NOAA is not a source of breaking news. Instead, it curates the very best stories from a variety of sources, such as the Financial Times, Bloomberg, The Economist, and many more. And then NOAA's editors combine these stories into a series so that you can see the same story from multiple perspectives. So this is what the app looks like on my phone. This is the home screen, and you've got various quick access methods here at the top. So for example, I could look to see what's trending right now, or alternatively, we could search for a particular topic, like crypto. And if we scroll down, we can see a whole series about how cryptocurrency exploded in 2021. PensionCraft viewers get a special deal with NOAA where you get 7 days free and 37% off premium membership. To get access to that, just go to this link, newsoveraudio.com/pensioncraft. And that link is also available in the description of this video. So let's spend a little bit of time understanding what market making is, but also how this pro version of the interface actually works. So flashing up beside me here, you can see the actual trades going through the order book. And this is a typical price graph which you'd see on any kind of platform. But what you can also do, which is great, is look at the depth chart. Now this gives you incredible insight into the market for Bitcoin versus sterling. Now most people just trade using a market order, which means they simply say to a market maker, I'd like to buy this much Bitcoin, and here's my sterling to pay for it. Then the market maker will say, yes, this is the price, you're done. And that means that you're going to be a price taker. You don't decide the price, but you decide when to trade. And that means that you'll probably trade close to the mid-market price. So currently you'd pay about £34,552 per Bitcoin. In contrast, if you're a market maker, what you say is I'm willing to trade at this price. So let's say 34,800 is the price you'd be willing to sell at. Now, ideally, you'd like to sell at a high price. So you'd be to the right of this graph. So if you were to offer that price of say 35,000 per Bitcoin, not many people would be willing to trade with you at that price right now. That's because there'd be many other market makers in front of you who'd be willing to trade at a lower price. So if you're a market maker and you're willing to sell at a high price, it could take a long time for your order to get filled, or it may never get filled. Whereas if you trade at a price which is closer to the mid-market, it's much more likely that the price will move and you will get filled on your trade. So there's a trade-off as a market maker of the price at which you're willing to sell or buy and the time it takes to get filled on your trade. So let's say I wanted to trade immediately and I was happy to be a market taker. So I'd enter 100 as the amount of sterling which I'm willing to pay for Bitcoin, and the fee for that would be 0.5%. So you can see that's much lower than it was when we were looking at the basic interface. And if I wanted to provide liquidity to the market and actually be a market maker, I'd click on limit here in this box. And because I'm a market maker, I could choose the price at which I'm willing to buy. Now, ideally, I'd trade at a low price. So let's say we entered 34,200 and I'll enter the same amount of Bitcoin. Again, the fee is about 0.5%, 0.49 sterling, and I'll enter some more details about the trade. Now, what I want to ensure is that I'll be a market maker. I'll never be a market taker. So I'll click on post only. And this order will be good till cancelled. In other words, if the trade is never filled, it'll just stay there and it'll be me that has to cancel it. So let's say you've bought your cryptocurrency. If you keep it on the exchange, you can generate extra yield by staking. And for cryptocurrencies which are secured via something called proof of stake, such as Algorand or Polkadot, your reward for providing that security service is to earn yield in that cryptocurrency. So for example, if you stake your Algorand, per year you'll earn about an extra 5% in yield in that cryptocurrency. For Polkadot, currently the returns are much higher, so about 12% on an annualized basis. Now that yearly reward will fluctuate based on the number of transactions and the popularity of the cryptocurrency. For cryptocurrencies which don't use proof of stake, such as Bitcoin, you can still earn a yield, but it'll be generated off-chain. And what that means is that the platform will lend out your cryptocurrency. If you own an exchange-traded fund, there's a good chance that the actual equity inside your ETF will also be lent out to third parties, and it'll generate a yield when that happens. Now, what this yield means from your point of view is that this cryptocurrency can actually generate an income while it's just sitting there on the exchange. And that in turn can increase your total return over time. Now, some people hate the idea of actually leaving their cryptocurrency on a platform. That's because the platform itself effectively owns the cryptocurrency while that's the case. There's a saying in cryptocurrency that no keys, no coins, because your key is essentially a number which proves ownership by you of that amount of cryptocurrency. And that's why some people choose to store their cryptocurrency in a hardware wallet. Now, there are several makes of cryptocurrency wallet. Trezor is one of them, and these certainly aren't cheap. So, for example, the basic model, the Trezor Model 1, will set you back over £50 or about $72. And their premium model, the Trezor Model T, will set you back £190 or over $250. Another popular alternative is called Ledger, and the prices here are still pretty high, with the basic model costing you over £54 or $74, and the fancier model, the Ledger Nano X, is over £130 or over $180. And say you buy a Trezor, this is what you get in the box. You get the actual hardware which stores the actual keys. You get a USB cable so you can connect it to your computer. And in case you lose your Trezor and you want to recover your cryptocurrency, you actually write down words as a seed for that recovery process. So for example, you could write those words on a piece of card and store it somewhere very safe. As it says here, do not disclose the seed to anybody, because if you do, they could steal your cryptocurrency. If you're not happy writing down your recovery seeds on a piece of card, there are more secure solutions, but of course they're more expensive. So for example, Trezor has this thing called Shamir seeds. The idea is very similar to Voldemort storing his soul in a Horcrux, where you had to destroy all of the Horcruxes before you could kill his soul. So say you have 5 of these crypto steel capsules. When you open up those capsules, they have a kind of spindle, and then you take embossed letters and feed them onto the spindle in the order of your stored keywords. So they're quite tricky to load on and also to read. If you see this video, you'll see that for yourself. And with these Shamir seeds, say you've got 5 of these CryptoSteel capsules, you can specify that if you have just 3 left, that can be enough to recover your cryptocurrency. So you could even lose 2 of them and you could still get your money back. However, this does seem like a very fiddly and very expensive solution. Personally, I think it might be better just to really reliably memorize those words in order to recover your cryptocurrency. Now, diversification works in exactly the same way for cryptocurrency as it does with other types of investment. There are lots of different cryptocurrencies to choose from. You can see the market capitalization, which is the total amount of each cryptocurrency, where we take the number of coins and we multiply by the price of the coin. That's very much dominated by Bitcoin. So at the beginning of 2022, the market cap of Bitcoin is around $650 billion. The second largest cryptocurrency by market cap is Ethereum, which is roughly half the market cap of Bitcoin at the moment. But that has been catching up slowly over time. Then it's a really big jump as you go to the next largest cryptocurrency. Now, the market capitalization also has a bearing on the volatility or the size of the price fluctuations for each of those cryptocurrencies. Generally, the largest cryptocurrencies, so that's Bitcoin and Ethereum, have the lowest volatility. It's only 66% and 88% for those two. The cryptocurrencies at the bottom here, which have very low volatility, are the ones which are called stablecoins. They have their value linked to the price of fiat currency. So the value of one USD coin will always be very close to $1. To place these volatilities in some kind of context, for a typical large developed market index like the S&P, the volatility would be around 15%. And for a developed market currency pair like dollar versus sterling, it would be around 10%, maybe a little bit more. So these low volatilities for Bitcoin and Ethereum are in fact very high. But by choosing cryptocurrencies which are uncorrelated with one another, you can actually dampen that volatility, because while one cryptocurrency zigs, the other one will zag and reduce the overall volatility of your portfolio. So that's what this graph shows you beside me. I call this a Scooby-Doo graph, and I've applied it to normal investments. But the way you use this tree is that if you want to diversify, you use things which are far apart on different branches of the tree. So say, for example, you've got Bitcoin. Well, if you buy Ethereum along with your Bitcoin, it's very highly correlated. That's because they're close together on the tree. Whereas if you buy Cardano along with your Bitcoin in your portfolio, then they will diversify each other much better. That's because their prices tend to be uncorrelated. So I hope that's provided you with a helpful introduction into cryptocurrency investing. I certainly think that many of the ideas that you pick up with crypto carry through really nicely into any kind of investment. Things like HODL, you don't sell when markets fall, you also want to keep your fees low, and that insight into market depth and liquidity as a market maker is really valuable. Now don't forget our offer from Noah. You get a week's free intro and you get 37% off a premium subscription. And as always, thank you for listening.